You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video. Hey guys, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming. Some of me on Twitter, The Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Echo, Carl's Path. So guys, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Please sit back for the next 18 minutes, let me entertain you, and let's jump right in. Alarm changer up, and let's go. Alrighty. Let's see what today has got in store for us in the spooky, creepy world of Echo. Alright. I guess it's like it really is just a dream or something. Hey, Chase! Raven is craning his head around Carl now. Hey, Raven. Raven stares around at the room again. Wow, you know, just a second ago I was in a really fancy-looking bedroom. It had a bed with curtains on it and stuff. Raven, how'd you get tied up? Oh, Jenna, of course. Actually, she calmed down a bit and I brought her to the house, but then she punched me. Carl sets to untying the husky while Raven rubs the back of his head against the weight machine. And I fell down the stairs and she dragged me into this room and tied me up. Raven smiled sheepishly. Honestly, I probably could have fought her off. But facing a tiny, maybe a serial killer girl with a knife is kind of scary, so I just did what she told me to. That's okay. Do you, know where she is now? I glanced back into the hallway. Still nothing. No, she went out back. She did come back to like 10 minutes ago, though, and shoved these papers into my face. Raven points at the papers in his lap and on the ground with a freed hand. Carl gets started on untying the binds around his legs. Said something about these being the real letters, or the truth or whatever. I limp into the room, partly because I don't want to get caught by Jenna if she suddenly comes in, and also because I want to look at the two letters. They're short. One of them is about a paragraph, the other is only a few words. Because it's second nature now, I pick up the longer one and read aloud. I don't know what to say after finding your dungeon. No, there are no words for it, James. It is a dungeon. After finding the boy's body, finding out what you've done to it. There are truly no words, James. I only now know why you were never satisfied with me. All of your sweet words have turned to poison. I'm leaving you to the law, and I'm leaving this wretched town behind. I only hope that God has no mercy on your soul. I pick up the other letter, placing it over the first. You are disgusting. I don't have James's letter, so I have no idea what John was responding to. I also don't know who to believe anymore. John or James, or even the thing they were talking about, could alter the notes left around in that dreamscape. There's no way I can even begin to piece together who was manipulating what. But maybe because I'm in the real world now, and this is certainly real, this could be the actual truth. I also noticed a collection of dust on these photocopy pages. Taken from the scrapbook and stashed somewhere. Probably the crawl space, considering the state they're in. Is Jenna in the crawl space right now, searching for letters? Raven finally pulls his feet out of the ropes, rubbing his arms. He nods at me. Said she wrote that one in jail after James had written to him? I gotta say, since that whole knife thing, she seems like she doesn't know who she is. I fold up the letters, putting them in my pocket with the news article. I mean, she keeps on going on about James and letters. Did she say anything else about the letters? Raven frowns, looking at the ceiling. She said something about not being able to finish the game, because one of them burned and the other got, eaten. I put a hand on my pocket. Well, I found the one that burned on the counter upstairs. I don't think it burned, we just saw it burn. I think to the tree outside in front of the house, but Carl shakes his head. Doesn't really matter now that we're free of this shit. Let's find the keys and get the hell out. Carl stands on the last restraints around Raven's ankles. I get up and limp to the doorway again, looking out toward the crawl space. In that moment, I hear a whisper of movement down the hall. I limp out a bit more, watching as two tall ears slowly materialize out of the darkness. For a moment, I see a young male fox in overalls in front of me. That imagery dissolves as Jenna is slowly lit up by the light coming from the weight room. She's covered in the dust from the crawl space. I'm startled, but I'm not scared because I know she can't see me. At least, she shouldn't be able to see me, but her piercing eyes are right on me. She can see me. Maybe it's the fact that it's not Jenna at all. Maybe it's because she's completely possessed and it's John looking through her eyes. Whatever it is, she can see me, that's clear, because she immediately raises the knife and bares her teeth at me. I don't want the others getting caught by her, especially with Raven tied up like that. I need to give Carl or I a chance to attack from behind, depending on if she goes for me or takes a turn into the weight room. She's coming! And back out into the hall and away from Jenna, hoping to give one of us the advantage. But she's coming so fast. Otter, you're in on it with James, huh? Her voice, rough and deep, unlike anything I'd heard from Jenna before. I realize then that there's no waking Jenna up from this. It's not Jenna anymore, and John sure as hell isn't waking up. John lunges and I turn and run. The fox doesn't even glance into the weight room as he comes for me. I limp and leap through the darkness, left hand stretched out, desperately feeling for the end of the wall that will signify the stairs. I hear the fox breathing behind me, bumping into the walls. Finally, my hand falls through nothing, and I turn sharply to run up the stairs. As I stumble upwards, I start to wonder what the hell I'm going to do. Well, I could try and go for the bathroom, lock the door. That doesn't exactly help out Carl. I can't stop thinking about the newspaper clipping that John's hanging corpse ate. If I can get all the pieces that it wants us to get, then maybe I can end whatever this is. My thoughts are interrupted as something cold goes down my back, followed by an even colder pain just to the right of my spine. I gasp as I fall into the water, but continue upwards. I can hear Carl shouting, too, at the base of the stairs. There's too much distance between me and him for the ram to be of any help. As I reach the top of the stairs, there's a loud thwack sound to the left of my head, just as I stumble into the kitchen. I glance over my shoulder and see John yanking the knife from the wall. Almost sobbing now, I jump my way to the front door, hearing John scream curses at me from behind. Well, I want Carl's help right now. I also don't want him to catch up. I don't want John turning on him. I struggle with the door for a moment, for some reason trying to push on it rather than pull. It's only a few seconds, but enough for John to gain on me and swing the knife again as I pull open the door. I scream and duck, hearing the metal clang against the door hinge. I lunge forward out the door and into the cool of the early morning. The sky is a soft blue as dawn breaks. I limp as fast as I can down the steps, down the driveway, toward the slope past the road, but John catches me again as I'm on the road. This time he grabs my shirt, holding on to me. I turn to face him as he draws the knife back for another swing, but at that moment we go over the slope. Even in my adrenaline-fueled state, the fall is painful, and each time I roll, I can feel the stab of rock sticking into my skin. The final bounce is punctuated with a blinding pain on my forehead as it collides with a small boulder. I shakily get to my feet, looking left and right for the tree, panicking until I realize it's right in front of me. I stumble right into it, clinging to it. I scan the dirt, but there's nothing, no paper at all. Jenna's getting up just 5 feet away. I can see blood oozing through several scratches on his body. A knife is still in his hand, and he zeroes in on me again. I cower and move behind the tree, my plan ruined. And that's when my face comes level with a hollow in the tree. Automatically, I reach in, feeling around, feeling mostly spiderwebs and twigs before Carl appears at the top of the slope. Hey! 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 Stop! John whirls around. Knife raises, he immediately moves in the other direction. You! My hand finds the corner of a piece of paper, and I pull out the newspaper clipping. I scan over it. It's another quote from Carl's mother. I begin to read, my voice cracking as I manage to shout. But I was able to open the lockbox kept by James himself. It was full of jail letters between him and John. John freezes in his steps, knife still raised, looking up at Carl. I don't want to sully the Hendricks name, but if what John said is true, James framed him of the most heinous crime in Echo's history. In the meantime, Carl stumbles down the slope, moving carefully around the fox to stand next to me. I reach into my pocket and pull out the other pieces of paper. I hold them up. John, we know the truth. I'm going to tell everyone in my documentary, okay? I'm a journalist, a reporter. We see the truth. John towards me, knife slowly lowering. And just like that, it's not John anymore. It's Jenna. The knife clatters to the rocks. Carl reaches out to hold me, and I collapse against him, everything numb. Jenna's hands go to her mouth, staring at the knife, staring at me and Carl before she screams. In the distance, I can hear sirens. Oh my. Is history subjective in nature? The story of James and John sure seems to be. All we have are a few written letters from these we must try to draw some sort of conclusion. In the end, it can't really be said what exactly happened almost 150 years ago. Instead, we can only provide the facts. Several native children went missing. James was accused of the crime before claiming that his secret lover John was the culprit. In his jail letters, Jonathan claims that he was framed by James. Because of the vigilante justice dealt out by the town, John never had a trial, and no record of the evidence collected exists. James, because of his influence, was allowed to leave and live hundreds of miles away on the west coast, where he eventually died. He never wrote of the incident again. Many believe that, as journalists, we're supposed to be unbiased and only state facts. That's not exactly true, as long as it's clear that we're stating an opinion. So I'd like to do that now. It's my opinion that John is innocent. We should be presumed innocent until proven guilty, after all, and Jonathan has never even had that chance. According to accounts written by other townspeople, James was a deceitful and emotionally manipulative man. There are many accounts of his prejudices against the native people. In the end, the records that exist of John give us no reason to disbelieve him. Well, James has given us every reason to doubt him. But because time is evidence's worst enemy, it has been 150 years. The definitive answer will likely never be known. Like much of Echo, the history is lost to time. I'm Chase Hunter at Pueblo University, and this has been a special report on the town of Echo. I look over the report again, eyes stinging from staring at the monitor for too long. I'm a terrible writer, and the words of the script seem so clumsy. I shrug and decide I'll have time tomorrow to polish it up a bit. It's weird. Writing the last word to a script I started almost 1.5 years ago. It's changed a lot since then, moving from a focus on hysteria to an old mansion mystery. My mind wanders back to that spring in Echo. I still shake my head when I think about it, how it completely shattered my view on reality, my view on life. Of course, I couldn't come back to school right afterwards. I hadn't finished my project after all. Actually, I needed therapy. We all did. Except Carl. He seemed to have come out of it better than he had going into it somehow. Everyone handles trauma differently, Jenna would say. In fact, she has a lot of things to say about what happened. While she doesn't come out quite as unscathed as Carl, she's still tougher than me, and actually went right back to school that summer. Now she's at Weston, and a lot of her research is focused on Fully Due, or shared psychosis. I don't know how to pronounce that. Because of how everything went down, the things we felt and what we saw, Jenna's convinced that that's what took place. She brought up the way we primed each other to hear and see things. The way the things we saw didn't seem to have any rhyme or reason for what they were. While I do believe a lot of what we saw came from ourselves, I'm not fully convinced that explains all of it. Mainly because the rest of the townspeople went through their own nightmare that night. I still can't believe the things that Leo and TJ went through. Still, I'm glad she can find a way to explain it to herself. She told me over the phone just last week that she hasn't forgiven herself, and she should have been stronger than that. I've told her over and over that it's not her fault, but I guess after coming to with a knife in her hand and her friend stabbed, it left an impression. I rest my hand on the thick scar through my shirt that runs all the way down my back and wiggle the ankle that caused me a permanent limp. Still, this whole incident, it actually brought us closer. At least for Jenna, Carl, and I. Hell, even Raven. It's still painful to think about how Flynn, Leo, and TJ... Poor TJ. Aren't really talking anymore. I guess it's the fact that we went through completely different things during the incident. Of course, we'd told the police that it was someone else that had stabbed me while the town descended into madness. Echo, the name now famous worldwide after the mass hysteria incident that truly brought a dying town to its ultimate end. At least in terms of being a failed town. Well, no one really lives there now. It's certainly become a tourist attraction. Countless news reports, TV shows, and paranormal investigators descended on the area, especially once the news story changed from spree killings leave 9 dead to whole town went nuts. Luckily, not a lot of focus fell on us since we weren't exactly living in Echo anymore. We just got into the ambulances and left. Carl, on the other hand, along with the rest of his family, are still harassed by the media. Carl's mom, Tricia, is a pro at handling the media, though. I still wonder about what exactly it was that stopped her from publishing all her findings. I'll have to ask her sometime, considering I'm practically family due to how much I visit Carl. In the end, the relationship that I had with Carl in the dreamscape didn't exactly survive in the real world. Carl told me that he didn't know where he ended and James began, even when he rejected James's influence. We couldn't really trust anything that happened there. But still, he's my best friend, and I plan to spend the summer over at his house when I start my next project on Echo. Yeah, I realize that there are a lot more stories to cover over there, and I plan to uncover them. It's almost healing going back now without any fear. My own little therapy. I guess I always end up back there eventually. The sound of clops to my right makes me look up just as a bulky ram fills the frame of the doorway. Carl leans against it, rolling his eyes. Hey, dude! You told me you were going to work on that tomorrow! I smile and rest my chin on my palm. I was just giving it a quick once-over before we film. Yeah, sure. Anyway, I'm good for some pizza. You coming? I'm not really hungry, but taking my mind off Echo for just a little bit sounds good. Carl always cheered me up anyway. I nod over at the corner of our dorm room where Carl's papier-mâché sculpture of a tortured-looking bird sits. Don't you have to finish that thing by tomorrow? Carl shrugs. I got like 3 energy drinks in the fridge. I'll be good. Come on, let's get going. I want to meet Caitlin there, too. I get up slowly, stretching out my back. Oh, I see, so I'm just your wingman. Carl smirks. It's not like that, dude. I just like hanging out with her. Now let's go! Carl hangs on the frame, starting to swing himself out into the hall. Hey, Carl? Carl rebounds back into the room, leaning in towards me. Yo! Thanks for being my friend. I don't know if it was all the reminiscing about what happened the spring before last, or if I'm still not over what happened, but Carl seems to understand. He smiles and reaches out a big hand towards me, which I grasp. Course, man. If you need to talk or something, I'm here. You want to talk right now? I shake my head quickly. Nah, I'm good. Just wanted to say it. Carl smiles. Well, thanks for saying it. Now let's go! Carl again swings on the frame and out into the hall. There's some loud clopping before I hear him shouting at someone and giving them what sounds like a high five. I smile to myself as I look at the document on the screen one last time, before closing the laptop and following Carl out into the hallway. Oh. Not quite the ending I had in mind, but there's no such thing as perfect endings. Wow. Okay. Well, so Carl and Chase, they separated, but they're still close, and I think there's probably room there for a relationship to grow over time, you know, as Carl susses out what exactly was him and what exactly was James. God, I love this game so much. God, as for TJ, Flynn, and Leo, oh boy. Well, we'll be doing TJ and Flynn next. I am very, very interested to see where those stories end up, because this one was quite a bit different than the last two and the other two endings. So, sourced music, okay, decent amount of sourced music, I'd say. Yeah. Played back guitars, banter. Yep. But yeah, guys. So yeah, this is the end of Carl's path. Guys, let me know if there's a kind of secret ending to his path I don't know about. I heard there's actually an ending where like he and Chase can get together. I'm interested to see if that's true or not, guys. Just let me know in the comments. Yeah, I really enjoyed this run. It was so much different than the other runs. I was really surprised at just how different this was. How much this one diverged from the other routes. And I'm very interested in seeing where the other two routes take me. So, yeah. Oh. It's, man. Guys, it's crazy to think how long I have been playing this game. I really, really, really love this visual novel. God, it's been with me for so long. Reptilicus on the corner there. Yes. Oh, that was a good old movie. Wait, is that a Cthulhu figure? A hooded tentacled cultist or something like that, yeah. But yeah, guys, so I think that's going to be it for now. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, leave a super thanks or a tip if you can. It always helps. Until the next one, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Wait, oh, we're almost at the end. Can we make it? We're going to go back to the title screen. Go back to title screen. Title screen. Yes! We went back to the title screen. Alright. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!